The convoy moved through space like a line of bright stars. Princess Hana sat in the lead ship, watching the darkness outside her window. She was young for a Valerian royal, barely into her third decade, but the weight on her shoulders felt ancient. Her father, the Emperor, was dying. Everyone knew it. Everyone whispered about it. And everyone wondered who would take his place. Hana touched the glass with her long fingers. Her skin had the soft purple glow that all Valerians shared. Her eyes were large and golden, adapted to see in dim light. She wore the simple white robes of a peace-seeker, not the armor of a warrior. That choice made many people angry. Behind her, Commander Kyung stood with his arms crossed. He was tall and broad, covered in the scars of 100 battles. His face showed no emotion, but his eyes were always watching, always calculating. Next to him was Captain Do-Yun, younger and hungry for power. The two of them controlled the 50 soldiers that guarded the princess, and then there was Taiho. The human stood apart from the others. He was shorter than the Valerian guards, with brown skin and black hair tied back from his face. His body was compact and muscular in a different way. Where the Valerians were tall and elegant, he was solid and sturdy. His eyes were dark and alert, always moving, always checking for threats. The other guards ignored him. To them, humans were primitives. Their technology was centuries behind. Their empire was small and weak. The only reason Taiho was here was because the Emperor insisted on hiring soldiers from different species. A political gesture, nothing more. But Taiho did not seem to care what they thought. He did his job. He watched. He listened, and he noticed things. "We will arrive at Kiro Station in 2 hours," Commander Kyung announced. His voice was deep and formal. "Princess, you should rest before the summit." Hana turned from the window. "I cannot rest. Too much depends on this meeting. The peace talks will succeed," Do-Hyun said with a smile that did not reach his eyes. "How can they refuse you?" She wanted to believe that. The border worlds had been fighting for years. Small conflicts that grew larger, raids that became battles. Her father had sent her to negotiate peace, to show that the royal family cared about ending the bloodshed. But she knew the truth. Many people wanted this war. War brought profit. War brought power. Taiho shifted his position slightly. Hana noticed he was looking at Commander Kyung's belt. The communication device there had flickered. A message received and quickly hidden. "Commander," Taiho said quietly. "Who was that message from?" Kyung's face hardened. "That is not your concern, human. I am part of the security detail. All communications should be logged. Are you questioning me?" Kyung stepped forward. He towered over Taiho by nearly a full meter. Taiho did not back down. "I am doing my job. Your job is to follow orders and be silent." Kyung's hand moved to his weapon. "Perhaps you have forgotten your place." "Enough." Hana's voice cut through the tension. "Commander Kyung, Taiho is correct. All security communications must be logged. It is protocol." Kyung's jaw tightened, but he bowed his head. "Of course, Princess. Forgive me. I will ensure it is recorded." As Kyung and Do-Hyun moved away, Hana approached Taiho. Up close, she could see he was younger than she thought. Perhaps only a few years older than herself. His face had old scars, but his eyes were sharp and clear. "Thank you for your diligence," she said softly. Taiho bowed, but not in the flowery Valerian way, just a simple nod of respect. "It is my job, Princess. The others do not like you. I know. Does that bother you?" He smiled slightly. "No, I'm used to it." Hana found herself curious. "Tell me about your people." "About humans. My father speaks well of your kind, but I know little." Taiho seemed surprised by the question. Most royals never asked. "What would you like to know?" "Why did you take this job? Surely you know it is dangerous. All jobs are dangerous in their own way. This one pays well, and I gave my word I would protect you." "Your word." She tested the phrase. "Is that important to humans?" "Very important. Where I come from, a person's word is everything. Break it and you are nothing." Hana thought about the courtiers back home, the promises they made and broke as easily as breathing, the alliances that shifted with every passing day. That sounds unpeaceful, knowing who to trust. It can be, but it also means living with consequences. Before she could ask more, the ship shuddered. They were dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Through the windows, Kiro Station appeared. It was massive, a wheel spinning slowly in the black. Thousands of lights dotted its surface. Ships of every size and shape docked along its arms. "It is beautiful," Hana whispered. It is a trap, Taiho said quietly. Only she heard him. She looked at him sharply. What do you mean? But the human was watching Commander Kyung again. The commander was speaking into his communicator, his voice too low to hear. Doyun stood beside him, and both men looked tense, excited, like hunters waiting for prey. A cold feeling spread through Hana's chest. Taiho, what have you noticed? The guards have been receiving messages. Encrypted ones. They are not following standard security protocols. The timing is wrong. The patterns are wrong. He met her eyes. Princess, I think something bad is going to happen. My uncle sent additional security clearance codes yesterday, Hana said slowly. Lord General Wujin. He said it was to ensure my safety. Taiho's expression darkened. Your uncle commands the military? Yes. And he would become emperor if you died before your father? The words hung in the air like poison. Hana felt her world tilting. No, Kyung has served my family for 20 years. He would never. Men serve many masters, Taiho interrupted gently. Power changes loyalty. The docking clamps engaged with a heavy thud. The convoy had arrived at Kiro Station. Commander Kyung turned to face them, and Hana saw something in his eyes she had never noticed before. Something cold and hungry, Princess, Kyung said with a perfect bow. We have arrived. The summit awaits. Hana stood frozen. Behind Kyung, 50 guards prepared their weapons and adjusted their armor. All of them loyal to the commander. All of them potentially her enemies. All except one human who had warned her. But it was too late now. The doors were opening. The game had begun, and Hana walked forward into the station, feeling like a sacrifice walking to the altar, with only Taiho watching her back. The maintenance corridors were dark and narrow. Pipes ran along the walls, dripping condensation. Warning lights blinked red. Hana's beautiful robes caught on metal edges as Taiho pulled her deeper into the station's guts. Behind them, voices echoed. Orders shouted, boots pounding on metal floors. This way, Taiho whispered, pulling her left at an intersection. How do you know where to go? I studied the station maps when we arrived. Always know your exits, another thing the Valerian guards had not bothered with. They had been too confident, too certain of their superiority, and now they were hunting her through corridors they did not know. Taiho stopped suddenly, pressing Hana against the wall. His hand covered her mouth. She heard what he heard. Footsteps above them. Voices. They went this way. Spread out. The human cannot have gone far. How did one human defeat our initial assault? He got lucky. It will not happen again. The voices faded. Taiho waited 30 seconds more before moving. His training was obvious now. The way he moved without sound. The way he checked every corner. The way he thought 3 steps ahead. They emerged into a service bay. Old equipment sat covered in dust. Taiho finally let himself lean against a wall. Blood seeped through his uniform where the energy blast had hit him. You are hurt, Hana said, reaching for him. It is not bad, just burns. But his face was pale. Why did you do it? Everyone else abandoned me. You could have walked away. Taiho looked at her with those dark human eyes. I told you. I gave my word. In my culture, that means something. It means everything. But you could die. We all die eventually. Might as well die doing the right thing. Hana felt tears on her face. She had not cried since childhood. Royal blood did not cry. But here in the dark, with only one loyal heart beside her, she could not stop. They all betrayed me. Kyung served my family for 20 years. 20 years, and he sold me for my uncle's promises. People break, Taiho said gently. Power breaks them. Fear breaks them. But some people stay whole. You just have to find them. A sound from the entrance made them both freeze. Someone was coming. Taiho's weapon came up, but a voice called out softly. Please do not shoot. I am here to help. A human woman stepped into the light. Yuna, the station administrator from before. She carried a data pad and looked terrified. How did you find us? Taiho demanded. I have been monitoring the security feeds. I saw what happened in the Grand Hall. What Commander Kyung did. She looked at Hana. Princess, the entire station has been told you are a traitor. That you attacked your own guards. Lord General Wujin is broadcasting lies across every channel. Of course he is, Hana said bitterly. Yuna held out the data pad. But I recorded everything. The real footage. Before they could erase it. Taiho took the pad and watched. It showed the ceremony from a security camera, showed Commander Kyung giving the signal, showed the guards firing first, showed Taeho saving her life. "This is evidence," Taeho said. "We need to broadcast this. Show everyone the truth." "The main communication array is on the upper level," Yuna said. "But it is heavily guarded now. Kyung has soldiers everywhere." "Then we find another way." Taeho pulled up the station schematics on the pad. "There, emergency broadcast system. It is in the abandoned research section. Nobody goes there anymore." "There is a reason nobody goes there," Yuna warned. "That section lost life support years ago. It is barely habitable. But we can reach the broadcast system?" "Yes, through the ventilation shafts." Taeho looked at Hana. "Can you climb?" She nodded. "I can do whatever is necessary." They moved through the station like ghosts. Yuna knew every service passage, every hidden route. She led them through areas marked with warning signs, past rooms filled with broken equipment, through corridors where the lights flickered and died. At one checkpoint, they found guards blocking the path. 6 Valerian soldiers with heavy weapons. There was no way around them. "I will handle this," Taeho said. 6 against 1. Hana gripped his arm. "That is suicide." "No, that is tactical thinking." He smiled slightly. "Your people are used to fighting in open space battles. Ship to ship, not in close corridors. Watch and learn." He threw a metal pipe down the corridor. The sound made the guards spin. In that moment, Taeho moved. He did not run at them directly. He used the walls, the shadows, the confusion. His weapon fired in short bursts. Each shot counted. Each shot hit. The guards were trained, but they expected a frontal assault. Taeho gave them chaos instead. He appeared on their left, then their right. Above them, using the pipes. Below them, rolling under their fire. His smaller size became an advantage in the cramped space. In 30 seconds, all 6 guards were down. Hana stared. "How?" "Humans evolved as hunters," Taeho explained, breathing hard. "We are not the strongest, not the fastest. But we are persistent, we adapt. We think," they continued on. The abandoned research section loomed ahead, dark and cold. The doors were sealed, but Yuna had override codes. They opened with a groan of protesting metal. Inside was a wasteland. Frost covered everything. Their breath turned to mist. Equipment lay shattered and forgotten. But in the center, still blinking with power, was the emergency broadcast terminal. "It still works," Yuna said, surprised. Taeho uploaded the video evidence. "When I activate this, every screen on the station will show the truth. But it will also tell Kyung exactly where we are." "Do it," Hana said firmly. "The truth must come out." His finger moved to the button. The door behind them exploded inward. Captain Do-hyun strode through the smoke, 20 soldiers behind him. His face was twisted with anger. "You should have died in the Grand Hall," he snarled. "You should have died like the traitor you are." "The only traitors here are you," Hana said, her voice ringing with royal authority. "You betrayed your oaths. Your honor, your princess. Honor?" Do-hyun laughed. "Honor does not feed my family. Honor does not give me power. Your uncle promised me a fleet. What did you promise? Peace? Weakness? I promised a better empire. One worth fighting for. Pretty words from a pretty princess. But words are all you have." Taeho stepped forward, putting himself between Hana and the weapons. "She has me." Do-hyun's eyes narrowed. "One human. Against 20 of my best soldiers. Stand aside, creature. This does not concern you. Everything that threatens her concerns me. Then die with her." 20 weapons raised. 20 fingers moved to triggers. And Taeho slammed his hand down on the broadcast button. Every screen on Kiro's station blazed to life. The video played for everyone to see. Commander Kyung giving the signal. The guards turning on their princess. Taeho leaping to save her. The truth undeniable and clear. Do-hyun roared in fury. "Fire! Kill them both!" Energy blasts filled the air. Taeho grabbed Hana and dove behind the terminal. Metal melted and sparked. Yuna screamed, but something changed. Through the walls they could hear shouting. Confused voices, arguments. One of Do-hyun's soldiers lowered his weapon. "Captain, the broadcast." "Everyone has seen it. They know the princess is innocent. I do not care. Shoot them!" But more soldiers hesitated. They looked at each other, looked at Hana, looked at the human who stood bleeding and defiant between them and their target. A young soldier, barely more than a girl, stepped forward. "No," Do-hyun spun on her. "What did you say?" I said no, Captain. I will not murder my princess. I took an oath. Then you will die with her. Do-hyun's weapon swung toward the young soldier. But Tae-ho was faster. His shot took Do-hyun in the shoulder, spinning him around. The captain fell, cursing. More soldiers lowered their weapons. The young one knelt before Hana. Princess, I am Sora. I am loyal to you. I'm sorry I did not act sooner. Tears ran down Hana's face. You acted when it mattered. That is enough, the terminal beeped. Yuna looked at the screen. Princess, the broadcast reached the Valerian homeworld. The Imperial Council has seen the evidence. They are calling for Lord General Woojin's arrest, but Tae-ho did not relax. Kyung is still out there, with 30 more soldiers, and he knows where we are. As if summoned by his name, Commander Kyung's voice echoed through the station speakers. Clever, Princess. Very clever. But it changes nothing. I will finish what I started. Hana looked at Tae-ho, at Yuna, at Sora, at the few soldiers who had remembered their oaths. Then let him come, she said quietly. We will be ready. Kiro Station smelled like recycled air and oil. The corridors were wide and clean, built to accommodate dozens of different species. Hana walked through them, surrounded by her guards, feeling more like a prisoner than a princess. Tae-ho stayed close, his hand never far from his weapon. The diplomatic sector was grand, high ceilings with light that shifted like water. Delegates from across the sector waited in clusters, whispering to each other. They fell silent when Hana entered. 50 guards in perfect formation made an impression. Ambassador Gina rushed forward to greet her. The older woman had been Hana's teacher once, back when she was a child learning statecraft. Gina's face showed relief. Princess, thank the stars you are safe. I have been worried. Why worried? Hana asked, embracing her. Gina glanced at Commander Kyung. There are rumors. Whispers that not everyone wants these peace talks to succeed. Rumors are like smoke, Kyung said dismissively. They mean nothing. Smoke means fire, Tae-ho said quietly. Kyung's hand moved to his weapon, but Hana stepped between them. Ambassador, please show me to my quarters. I need to prepare for tomorrow's ceremony. Gina led her through the station. Tae-ho followed 3 steps behind, his eyes constantly scanning. The quarters were luxurious, with soft furniture and walls that showed scenes from different worlds. But Hana felt no comfort here. Ambassador, tell me truly. What have you heard? Gina looked at the door, making sure they were alone. Your uncle, Lord General Woojin, has been consolidating power. Many officers have sworn loyalty to him. You fear he wants the throne. Yes, and you stand in his way. Hana sat down heavily. She had known her uncle was ambitious, but to betray family, to murder his own niece, my father trusted him. Your father is dying and cannot see clearly anymore. Gina took her hands. Princess, you must be careful. Trust no one. A sound from the ventilation shaft made them both jump. Tae-ho moved like lightning, his weapon drawn. But the corridor was empty. Just the normal sounds of a space station. I am being paranoid, Hana said with a weak laugh. Paranoia keeps you alive, Tae-ho replied, not lowering his weapon. That night, Hana could not sleep. She kept thinking about what Gina had said, about Tae-ho's warnings, about the way Commander Kyung looked at her when he thought she was not watching. Morning came too quickly. The summit would begin in the grand ceremonial hall. Hana dressed in her finest robes, white and gold, with the royal seal on her chest. She looked at herself in the mirror and saw her father's eyes looking back. He had believed in peace, in diplomacy, in trusting people to do the right thing. Maybe he had been wrong. The walk to the hall felt like a funeral march. Her guards surrounded her, silent and professional. Tae-ho walked at the rear, which was unusual. Normally, the newest guard took that position, but Commander Kyung had ordered it specifically, keeping the human away from the princess. The grand hall was magnificent. Hundreds of delegates filled the seats. A massive table dominated the center, with the treaty document already prepared. All Hana needed to do was cut the seal with the ceremonial blade and peace would be declared. It felt too easy. Ambassador Gina was supposed to meet her at the entrance, but she was not there. A station administrator approached instead, a human woman named Yuna with worried eyes. Princess Ambassador Gina has been found in her quarters. She is dead. The words hit like a physical blow. Dead how? They say she took her own life. But Yuna looked around nervously. But I saw her this morning. She was not suicidal. She was excited about the summit. Hana felt cold spreading through her body. Where is Commander Kyung? Already in the hall securing the perimeter. Everything was moving too fast. Hana wanted to run, to hide, to call for her father. But she was alone now. Gina was dead. Her father was half a galaxy away. The only person who had warned her was Taiho, and he was kept far from her side. She entered the grand hall. Hundreds of eyes turned to her. The delegates rose in respect. At the head of the table stood Commander Kyung and Captain Do-yun, their faces neutral and professional. Princess, Kyung said with a bow. We are ready when you are. Hana walked to the table. Her hands shook as she picked up the ceremonial blade. It was more art than weapon, with jewels on the handle and a thin golden edge. She held it over the wax seal on the treaty. Above her, a hologram flickered to life. Lord General Wujin appeared, massive and imposing in his military uniform. Niece, his voice boomed across the hall. I am here to witness this historic moment. She looked up at her uncle's image. His face was proud, victorious, and she understood. This was not a peace summit. This was a stage, a place for her to die in front of witnesses with blame placed elsewhere. Uncle, she said, her voice steady despite her fear. How generous of you to attend. The blade touched the wax. Hana pressed down. The seal broke, and Commander Kyung raised his hand. 50 guards turned their weapons on the princess. The hall erupted in screams. Delegates dove for cover, energy weapons charged with a high-pitched whine. Hana stood frozen, the ceremonial blade useless in her hand, staring at Commander Kyung. I am sorry, Princess, Kyung said without emotion. It is just politics, Do-hyun smiled. Nothing personal. The weapons fired, but Hana did not die. A solid weight crashed into her from behind, driving her to the floor behind the ceremonial table. Energy blasts scorched the air where she had been standing. The smell of burned ozone filled her nose. Strong arms wrapped around her, shielding her body with another. Stay down. Taeho's voice in her ear. He had crossed the entire hall in seconds, had tackled her to safety while death flew overhead. Now he crouched over her, his back to the guards, taking hits meant for her. She felt his body jerk as energy blasts grazed him, heard him grunt in pain but not let go. His weapon came up and he fired back. The sound was different from Valerian weapons, sharper, more primitive, but effective. 3 guards dropped. Impossible, Kyung shouted. He is just a human. But Taeho moved like nothing Hana had ever seen. He pulled a small device from his belt and threw it. Smoke exploded across the hall, thick and choking. In the confusion, he dragged Hana toward the side exit. Why? She gasped. Why save me? I gave my word, he said simply, firing behind them without looking. They reached a maintenance door. Taeho kicked it open and shoved Hana through. Behind them, the hall filled with weapons fire as the guards tried to find them in the smoke. There, Do-hyun's voice. Do not let them escape. Taeho slammed the door and fused the lock with a blast from his weapon. It would not hold long. He looked at Hana, his face bloody and burned. Princess, we need to run, now. She looked at the human who had saved her. The human everyone dismissed. The human who was the only one who kept his word. Lead the way, she said. And together they ran into the depths of the station, with an army of traitors hunting them. The abandoned research section had become a fortress. Taeho moved through the space, evaluating defensible positions. His mind worked like a machine, calculating angles and choke points. Hana watched him transform from a simple guard into something else. A warrior. A tactician. Here, he said, pointing to a narrow corridor with collapsed equipment on both sides. They will have to come through single file. We can hold this position. Sora helped move debris into position. She was young, maybe only a year in service, but her eyes were steady now. 4 other soldiers had joined them, ashamed of their earlier hesitation but determined to make amends. Against Commander Kyung's 30 trained killers, it was still a desperate situation. Yuna worked frantically at the terminal. I am trying to call for help, but Kyung has jammed all communications except his own channel. How long until reinforcements arrive from the homeworld? Hana asked. If they left immediately after seeing the broadcast? 2 hours, maybe 3. Taeho checked his weapon. We need to last 2 hours then. Against 30 soldiers? One of the defectors, an older guard named Minho, shook his head. That is impossible. Difficult, Taeho corrected. Not impossible. In human military history, Small groups have held against larger forces many times. We just need to think smart. What do you suggest? Hana asked. Tejo pulled up the station schematics again. Look, this section has 6 entry points, but 2 are completely collapsed. One leads through a radiation leak. That leaves 3 ways in. We cannot defend all 3, so we make them come through one. We channel them where we want them. How? Sora asked, leaning close to see the maps. We seal the other entrances, make them think we are panicking. Then we prepare surprises at the main entrance. He smiled grimly. Humans are very good at surprises. They worked quickly. Minho and another soldier used cutting torches to collapse 2 doorways. Taiho rigged the radiation leak passage with the last of his explosives. If anyone tried that route, they would get a nasty shock. That left the main corridor, the one Taiho had identified earlier. Now we make it uncomfortable for them, he said. Using spare parts from the research equipment, they created traps, wires that would trip, containers of chemical coolant that would burst and blind, loose panels that would shift underfoot. Nothing lethal on its own, but each designed to slow, confuse, and frustrate. You are teaching us guerrilla warfare, Hana observed. Yes, when you are outnumbered, you do not fight fair. You fight smart. Valerians consider this dishonorable. Valerians lose wars thinking about honor. Humans survive by adapting, boots echoed in the distance. Kyung's voice boomed through the station speakers again. Princess, I am coming. Surrender now and I will make it quick. Tejo raised his own communicator. Commander, this is the human you dismissed as primitive. Come try to get her. The rage in Kyung's voice was palpable. You dare challenge me? I have trained for 50 years. And I have trained to win. The first soldiers appeared at the main corridor. They moved in standard Valerian formation, shields up, weapons ready. Professional and deadly, they stepped on the first trap. Chemical coolant exploded in their faces. They screamed, firing blindly. Their shots hit the ceiling, the walls, each other. In the confusion, Tejo fired 3 precise shots. 3 soldiers fell, the rest retreated, cursing. Cheap tricks, Kyung's voice snarled. Effective tricks, Taiho replied calmly. The second assault came faster. They tried to rush through, accepting casualties to reach the defenders. But the narrow corridor worked against them. Only 3 could fit side by side. Taiho's small force poured fire into the choke point. The Valerians had superior weapons, but position mattered more. 5 more soldiers fell before they retreated again. You are hurting them, Sora said, amazed. 7 down, 23 to go. Taiho reloaded his weapon. And they are learning. The next assault will be different, he was right. The third attempt came with heavy shields and suppressing fire. They moved slowly but steadily, using the shields to protect themselves. Taiho's shots bounced harmlessly off the defensive screens. We cannot penetrate, Minho shouted. We do not need to. Taiho aimed carefully and shot the ceiling above the advancing soldiers. Metal panels fell, crashing onto the shields. The soldiers stumbled. In that moment of imbalance, the defenders' fire found gaps in the protection. 2 more fell. But 3 got through the corridor. Close combat erupted. Tejo moved like water, slipping between the larger Valerians. He used their size against them, making them crash into each other. His movements were strange to them, unpredictable. One guard grabbed for him and found himself thrown against a wall. Another swung with a blade and Taiho was not there anymore. Sora and the others fought too, but they were used to formal dueling. Tejo fought to survive. There was no honor in his style, just effectiveness. When the 3 soldiers were down, Taiho was bleeding from new wounds. But he was standing. 10 down, he said, breathing hard. You are incredible, Hana whispered. I am stubborn. And lucky. He winced as Yuna wrapped his burns. But Kyung will not make the same mistakes again. For 20 minutes, there was silence. The defenders waited tensely. Tejo used the time to rest and think. Hana saw his mind working, constantly planning. They are up to something, Minho said nervously. An explosion rocked the section. One of the sealed doorways blasted open. 10 soldiers poured through, firing as they came. They split their forces, Tejo realized. Smart. Now defenders faced attacks from 2 directions. The odds had suddenly shifted. Tejo shouted orders, placing people where they needed to be. But they were stretched thin. A soldier came at Hana from behind. She screamed. Tejo spun, too far away to help. The blade descended. Sora threw herself in the way. The blade meant for Hana cut into the young soldier's arm instead. Sora cried out but did not fall. Her own weapon came up and stopped the attacker. I have got you, Princess, Sora gasped through pain. The battle became chaos. Energy blasts and shouting and the smell of burned metal. Tahoe was everywhere, somehow holding two fronts at once. His human endurance shocked the Valerian soldiers. They tired while he kept moving, but there were too many. Slowly, inevitably, they were being pushed back toward the terminal. Toward Hana. Commander Kyung appeared in the new opening, massive and armored. His eyes found Hana across the carnage. It ends now. He raised his weapon. Tahoe was out of position, too far to shield her. He shouted her name, threw himself forward, but the distance was too great. The weapon fired, and a shot from behind Kyung took him in the back of his knee. The commander fell, roaring in pain. Through the smoke, new soldiers appeared. But these wore different insignia. These were from other stations, other ships. A senior officer stepped forward, weapon trained on Kyung. Stand down, Commander. By order of the Imperial Council, you are under arrest for treason. Kyung stared in disbelief. No, I was promised. Lord General Wu Jin has been arrested. His promises are worthless. The officer looked at Hana and knelt. Princess, forgive our delay. We came as fast as we could after seeing the broadcast. Hana sagged in relief. It was over. Finally over. But Tahoe still watched the prisoners with wary eyes. Secure all weapons. Check for hidden devices. Trust but verify. The senior officer smiled slightly. Good instincts, human. What is your name? Tahoe. Well, Tahoe, I think you have earned the gratitude of the Empire. Tahoe shook his head. I just did my job. He walked to where Sora sat, her arm being bandaged. You saved the princess. I learned from you, she said. Keep your word. Do the right thing. More reinforcements arrived. Medical teams. Security personnel. Delegates who had witnessed the betrayal and cowered in hiding now came out to apologize and swear loyalty. Hana accepted their words coldly. She would remember who stood by her and who ran, but mostly she looked at Tahoe, the human everyone dismissed, the guard the Valerians had mocked, the one person who kept his promise when the universe fell apart. Come, she said to him quietly. We need to talk. They found a quiet room away from the chaos. Tahoe stood at attention, bleeding and exhausted but still professional. You can rest, Hana said gently. I will rest when you are safe. I am safe now. Then I will rest when you are home. She smiled, despite everything. You are impossible. You are not the first person to say that. Hana took his hands. They were rough, scarred, human. Thank you. You saved my life 3 times today. I owe you everything. You owe me nothing. I was hired to protect you. That is what I did. Most people would have run when the army turned against me. I am not most people. No, she agreed softly. You are not. You are someone special, someone rare, someone who remembers what honor means. Through the window they could see ships arriving, the Imperial fleet coming to escort their princess home. The crisis was over. But Hana knew the real work was just beginning. She looked at Tahoe, this human who had taught her about loyalty, about courage, about keeping your word no matter the cost. Will you stay with me? She asked. When I return home? For how long? As long as you are willing, Tahoe smiled. Then I will stay. The medical bay on the flagship was bright and sterile. Hana sat beside Tahoe's bed while doctors treated his wounds. Burns from energy weapons, cuts from close combat, bruises that covered half his body, but he was alive. Against all odds, they both were. You should be resting yourself, Princess, one doctor said. You have been through trauma. I will rest when I know he is well. Tahoe opened his eyes. They were still sharp despite the pain medication. Princess, I am fine. Just tired. You took 3 energy blasts meant for me. That is more than fine. 4, actually. One you did not see. She felt tears threatening again. Since Kiro's station, she had cried more than in her entire life. You are insane. Probably. The door opened. Yuna entered holding a data pad. The human administrator had been given passage on the flagship as a witness and helper. Behind her came Sora, her arm in a sling but her face proud. Princess, Yuna said, I have news from the homeworld. The Imperial Council has formally charged Lord General Wu Jin and Commander Kyung with high treason. Captain Do-yun and the others who participated are also in custody. Good. Hana felt no sympathy for them. They had chosen betrayal. Now they would face justice. There is more. Your father wants to speak with you immediately. He has been asking for hours, Hana stood. Stay here and heal, she told Taiho. I will return soon. The communication chamber was private and secure. When the hologram formed, Hana gasped. Her father looked terrible. The Emperor was thin and pale, his once strong body wasted by illness. But his eyes were alert. Hana, my daughter, thank the stars you are safe. Father. She knelt before the image. I am so sorry. I failed you. Failed me. His laugh was weak but genuine. Child, you survived an assassination attempt by your own guards. You exposed a traitor in our family. You showed the Empire what true courage looks like. How is that failure? I trusted Kyung. I did not see the betrayal coming. None of us did. Your uncle hid his ambition well. The Emperor's face hardened. He will face execution for his crimes. The council has already decided. And the soldiers who turned against me? Those who killed or attempted to kill will be punished severely. Those who hesitated, who ultimately chose loyalty, will have a chance to prove themselves again. He paused. I am told a human saved your life. Yes, Taiho. He was the only one who stood by me. I want to meet this human. Bring him when you return home. He is injured, father. It may be some time. I do not have much time, daughter. Days, perhaps a week. I want to meet the man who saved my heir before I die. The words were like knives. Hana knew her father was dying, but hearing him say it made it real. Father, please, no tears. I have lived a long life, ruled for 60 years, seen wonders across the galaxy. I am ready. His expression softened. But I need to know the Empire will be in good hands. Your hands, I am not ready to be Empress. Nobody is ready. You become ready by doing the job, he smiled. But you have learned something I never fully understood. You have learned who to trust. That human Taiho, he is trustworthy. Keep him close. Build your court with people like him. People who keep their word even when it costs them. I will, father. I promise. Good, come home quickly. I want to see your face in person one more time. The hologram faded. Hana sat alone, feeling the weight of the Empire settling on her shoulders. Soon she would be Empress. Soon all the decisions, all the responsibility would be hers alone. Almost alone. She returned to the medical bay. Taiho was sitting up now, arguing with a doctor about leaving the bed. I need to be ready when the princess needs protection, he insisted. You need to heal, the doctor snapped back. I can do both. Hana cleared her throat. They both fell silent. Taiho, my father wants to meet you. When we reach the homeworld, he tried to stand, fell back with a grimace. I will be ready. You cannot even stand. Give me a day. I will be ready. And somehow Hana believed him. Humans were stubborn that way. The journey to the Valerian homeworld took 3 days. During that time, news of the betrayal spread across the Empire. People were angry, scared. How could the royal guard turn traitor? How could a Lord General plot murder? The Empire felt unstable, but another story spread too. The story of a human who stood alone against an army to protect his princess. Who took wounds meant for her. Who kept his promise when everyone else broke theirs. Humans suddenly had a different reputation. Not primitive, not weak, but loyal, trustworthy, brave. When the flagship entered orbit around the capital world, crowds filled the streets. They wanted to see their princess. They wanted to see the human hero. Taiho stood in his new uniform, cleaned and pressed. His burns were healing, covered by medical gel. He looked uncomfortable with the attention. I do not like this, he muttered. I am just a guard. You are more than that now, Hana said. You are a symbol. Of loyalty. Of courage. I liked being invisible better, she laughed. It felt good to laugh after so much fear and pain. Welcome to politics, Taiho. The imperial palace was vast and beautiful. Towers that touched the clouds. Gardens that bloomed with alien flowers. Hana had grown up here, but returning felt different now. She saw it with new eyes. Saw how power corrupted. Saw how loyalty was rare and precious. Her father waited in his private chambers. The Emperor lay in a medical bed, surrounded by machines that kept him breathing. He looked even worse than the hologram had shown, but when he saw Hana, his face lit up. My daughter, my heir, come, let me look at you. She knelt beside him, taking his thin hand. Father, I am here. And this is the human? Tejo stepped forward and bowed deeply. Not the flowery Valerian bow, but his simple human gesture of respect. Emperor, I am honored. Come closer. My eyes are not what they were. Tejo approached the bed. The Emperor studied him for a long moment. You do not look like much. No offense, none taken, Emperor. I am just a soldier. A soldier who held off 30 trained guards. A soldier who took 4 energy blasts meant for my daughter. A soldier who kept his word when an entire army broke theirs. The Emperor's voice grew stronger. That is not just a soldier. That is a warrior, a hero. I just did what was right, exactly. You did what was right when it was difficult, when it was dangerous, when everyone else chose the easy path of betrayal. The Emperor looked at Hana. Daughter, when I am gone, you will face many challenges. People will test you, try to manipulate you, seek to use you for their own gain. Promise me you will keep this human close. People like him are worth more than all the courtiers and generals combined. I promise, Father. And you, Tejo? Will you continue to serve my daughter? To protect her not just from physical threats, but from the snakes in our own court? If she will have me, I will serve. She had better have you. I am making it an imperial decree. The Emperor smiled. You are hereby appointed as the princess's personal bodyguard. And when she becomes empress, you will be commander of her personal guard. Not the royal army, not the ceremonial guards, but her private protection, chosen by her, loyal only to her. Father, that is too much, Hana protested. The court will object. They will say a human cannot. The court can say whatever they want. They have no power over this. It is my final decree as emperor. Tejo has proven his worth. The others have not. His breathing became labored. Now leave me. I need rest, and I want my final days with my daughter. Over the next 3 days, Hana stayed by her father's side. They talked about her childhood, about his reign, about the mistakes he made and the victories he won. He told her everything he knew about ruling an empire. And through it all, Tejo stood guard outside the door, silent, watchful, present. On the 4th day, the emperor passed peacefully in his sleep. Hana grieved, but she was not alone. The empire grieved with her, and when the time came for the coronation, she walked to the throne with her head high. The Grand Council assembled. Thousands of nobles and officers and delegates from across the empire. They watched as the crown was placed on her head. As she took the oath, as she became Empress Hana, ruler of the Valerian people, her first act was to honor those who stayed loyal at Kiros Station. Sora was promoted and given a Medal of Valor. Yuna was granted Valerian citizenship and a position in the palace. The soldiers who defected and fought beside them were pardoned and restored to duty. Her second act was to formally create the Empress's Guard, a new force drawn from multiple species. Humans, Valerians, and others, chosen not for their species or their connections, but for their character, for their loyalty, for their courage. And at the head of this new guard stood Tejo. No longer just a human mercenary, now commander of the Empress's Guard, trusted above all others, the court whispered. Some were angry. How dare a human hold such power? How dare an alien stand so close to the Empress? But Hana did not care. She had learned the most important lesson of all. True loyalty was rare. When you found it, you held on to it. You honored it. You protected it. Months passed. The empire stabilized under her rule. The traitors were punished. New alliances were formed. The peace treaties were signed. And through it all, Tejo stood at her side. One evening, after a particularly long day of meetings, Hana found him on a palace balcony. He was looking at the stars, his face peaceful. Thinking of home? She asked. Sometimes. But this is home now too. Do you regret it? Staying?